For centuries, the world was told that Egypt's story was written on the sands of the desert. Scholars pointed to the pyramids, the towering temples, and the silent gaze of the Sphinx as all the evidence one would ever need to understand this great civilization. Yet the desert has not been the sole keeper of Egypt's secrets. What happens when the real revelations are not buried beneath dunes but hidden beneath the sea? That very question was forced upon historians and archaeologists when, in recent years, underwater drones swept across the coast of Egypt and uncovered something that stunned the world: a sunken city swallowed thousands of years ago by the Nile Delta. Its discovery did not merely add a footnote to history, it demanded a rewriting of it. What lay beneath the waves was not just a ruin but an entire metropolis preserved in eerie silence, a city that seemed frozen in time as if awaiting rediscovery. And its story ties directly into Egypt's most enduring mysteries, from the Great Pyramid to the weather-worn Sphinx, suggesting that the truth of human civilization is far older, more advanced, and more suppressed than we have been led to believe. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. For centuries, the story of Heracleion, known to Egyptians as Thonis, lingered like a half-remembered myth. Ancient Greek texts referenced a great port city near the Nile Delta, while scattered Egyptian inscriptions hinted at its existence. Yet, no trace could be found for over 1,200 years. Many historians dismissed it as little more than legend, a cousin to Plato's Atlantis, something imagined rather than real. But then, in the early 2000s, the Mediterranean itself revealed its long-buried memory. In the murky waters off the coast of modern-day Alexandria, divers stumbled upon stone fragments where none should have been. These were not loose boulders but carved remnants of structures, evidence of something man-made. What followed was a painstaking effort of mapping and scanning using sonar technology. Slowly, like an image emerging from fog, the outlines of a massive city began to appear. And with the deployment of underwater drones, the full scope of the discovery was unveiled. Beneath the silt lay an entire metropolis, intact though toppled, silent but magnificent. Heracleion had once been a gateway between Egypt and the wider Mediterranean world. Built on the shifting soil of the Nile Delta, it thrived as a bustling port for centuries. Ships from Greece, Phoenicia, and beyond carried goods to its harbors. Merchants traded wares, ideas, and gods in its markets. Temples rose majestically above canals. This was no mere fishing village but a cosmopolitan hub where worlds collided. Yet, sometime in the 2nd century BCE, disaster struck. A combination of earthquakes, unstable soil, and rising waters delivered a death blow. Within decades, the city was swallowed whole by mud and sea, erased from the face of the earth, until now. The sight that greeted the drones was breathtaking. Colossal statues toppled but intact, some rising 5 meters tall, still bore the faces of gods and kings. Stone temples lay half-standing, their entrances and columns recognizable despite the centuries. Inscriptions remained etched into blocks, whispering the names of forgotten rulers. Jewelry, coins, amulets, and even ceremonial barges, objects delicate enough to be lost in time, were miraculously preserved by the water. Streets, canals, harbors, steels, and foundations stretched across the seabed, revealing a city frozen in time, as if the sea had hidden it deliberately until humankind was ready to rediscover it. But Heracleion was not just a port city. The ruins made it clear that it was also a spiritual heartland, a sacred place where heaven and earth converged. Nearly every major find connected back to temples, rituals, or offerings to gods. This was a city built not only on commerce but also on devotion. Among the most striking discoveries were colossal statues of Egyptian deities. Divers uncovered a massive figure of Hapi, the god of the Nile's fertility, his rounded belly and symbolic plant still visible through the silt. Other statues depicted pharaohs locked in eternal poses of worship, their hands forever offering to unseen gods. At the center of the city stood the grand temple of Ammonius-Gerib, long spoken of in ancient texts but never confirmed until its submerged ruins were identified. This temple had been one of the holiest shrines in all of Egypt, a place where pharaohs came to legitimize their rule through sacred rituals. Its rediscovery cemented Heracleon's role not only as a port but as a sacred gateway to the divine. Even more remarkable was the blend of cultures evident in the finds. Greek inscriptions appeared alongside Egyptian ones, dedications to Egyptian gods written in foreign tongues. The city had been a melting pot, a place where sailors from across the Mediterranean encountered Egyptian rituals and where Egyptian priests absorbed foreign influences. Inscriptions on steles dedicated to Osiris revealed that Heracleon played a central role in the annual Mysteries of Osiris ceremonies reenacting the god's death and resurrection. The discovery of ceremonial barges, still preserved on the seabed, confirmed that these sacred dramas once unfolded in the city's canals, witnessed by throngs of pilgrims. The symbolism ran deep. Osiris was not only god of the underworld but also of resurrection, death and rebirth. For a city swallowed by water yet preserved across millennia, the association could not be more hauntingly appropriate. Heracleon's ruins revealed something else, astonishing engineering. Its harbors were not random. They were carefully constructed with interlocking stone foundations that resisted erosion for centuries. Canals ran through the city in a grid, wide and deep enough to allow ships to pass directly into its heart. This was Venice before Venice, a city of water streets designed not only for commerce but also for symbolism, reflecting the Nile's life-giving essence. Massive megalithic blocks weighing tons were found in the city's foundations, cut with such precision that they still interlock today beneath the waves. Such feats raise unsettling questions. How did ancient builders achieve this with the tools history claims they had? Foundations revealed techniques resembling modern engineering principles, systems to spread weight and absorb soil shifts. Heracleon's planners had mastered hydraulic engineering, cosmological alignment, and urban design in ways far ahead of their time. The alignment of temples and canals also hinted at something deeper. Many were oriented toward cardinal points or celestial markers, aligning sacred architecture with the stars. It was as if the city itself was a map of the heavens, a design reflecting cosmological beliefs. This sacred geometry echoed patterns found in Egypt's greatest mystery, the pyramids. The discoveries of Heracleon reignited debates about the pyramids. How, critics asked, could such advanced engineering exist so early? The Great Pyramid of Giza in particular remains an enigma. The official story is simple, built around 2500 BCE for Pharaoh Khufu by 20,000 workers using copper chisels, sleds, and sheer manpower. In 20 years, they supposedly moved 2.3 million limestone blocks, each weighing tons, into precise alignment. But cracks appear when one looks closer. The pyramid's interior is devoid of inscriptions, funerary texts, or decoration, unlike any other royal tomb. No mummy, no relics, only a plain granite box misnamed a sarcophagus. The only evidence tying it to Khufu comes from graffiti discovered in 1837 by Colonel Weiss, who conveniently found red-painted quarry marks mentioning Khufu's name in hidden chambers he blasted open. Critics argue these were forgeries. The engineering defies explanation. The pyramid sides align almost perfectly with true north, an accuracy within 0.05 degrees. The base, spanning 13 acres, is leveled within fractions of an inch. Joints between stones are so precise that not even a razor blade fits between them. To achieve such perfection, workers would have needed to place a block every 2.5 minutes for 20 years without pause, a feat beyond plausibility. Attempts to recreate the methods with copper tools and sledges have consistently failed. Modern engineers admit they would struggle to build such a monument even with today's machinery. This raises the question, was the pyramid truly the product of Khufu's workforce, or a legacy from an earlier, forgotten civilization with advanced knowledge? If the pyramids are enigmatic, the Sphinx deepens the mystery. Carved from a single block of limestone, it is attributed to Pharaoh Khufu around 2500 BCE. Yet in the 1990s, geologist Robert Schoch studied its erosion patterns and made a startling claim: the weathering was caused not by sand and wind, but by heavy rainfall. Egypt has not seen such rains for over 7,000 years. This suggested the Sphinx could date back to 10,000 BCE, predating not only the pyramids but dynastic Egypt itself. Mainstream scholars rejected the claim, but the evidence is difficult to dismiss. The erosion is water-worn, not wind-scoured. If true, the Sphinx is a relic of a much earlier civilization, one capable of carving colossal monuments long before history says Egypt existed. The symbolism of the Sphinx adds weight to the theory. Facing east, it aligns with the rising sun on the equinox. Some researchers point out that in 10,500 BCE, the constellation Leo, the lion,